here we go. 4-3C. These new stylus work so good. The first ones I ordered got stolen from me, but then I reordered them, and there they are. All right. It said that, trig ratios, it said that it was handed to the person who lives there, like a handed to resident. I'm like, no, I wasn't home at 2 o'clock. It wasn't handed to me. Maybe Rick took them. Okay. Greg didn't know. All right. Trig ratios. Here we go. We are going to be off the unit circle. Okay. Whenever you're off the unit circle, you're really going to want to set up a right triangle. So we're going to find cosine of theta and tangent of theta. And we're going to be given a couple of things. We're going to do a couple of these, okay? We're going to be given that the sine of theta is equal to 3/7, and tangent of theta is going to be less than 0. Okay. We've done problems like this before, but we were in quadrant 1 the whole time, because we were doing acute angles. We said the acute angle gives us this, and da-da-da. Now we're going to be in any quadrant possible, all 4 of them, okay? So let's find out which quadrant we're in for this problem. Sine gives me a positive answer, but tangent's going to be negative. There's only one quadrant that works. Which quadrant is it? 2. Okay, she did that really quickly, huh? We're going to go over here to quadrant 2, where sine is positive, but tangent is negative. Quadrant 1 wouldn't work because they're all positive in quadrant 1. So this part wouldn't work. Here, sine's not positive there. All right, so we're going to use theta, our reference angle. It's really theta prime. This is theta, but it's going to give us the same value, so we're not too worried about it. And so if I say the sine of theta is 3/7, then that means that the opposite is 3. The hypotenuse is 7, and now I need to find out what the other side is. You've done this before. The only thing that's different is we're going to have negative values on our triangle, negative sides, okay? So we're going to go with 3 squared plus x squared equals 7 squared. So I get 49 minus 9, so x squared equals 40. Take the square root, and we get 2 rad 10. But when we write this over here, make sure you write negative 2 rad 10. You either write negative 2 rad 10, or you remember that when you're trying to do what they're asking you to do, cosine of theta and tangent of theta, you remember that those are both going to be negative answers because they're in quadrant 2. Okay? All right, so now let's do it. Here we go. So what is the cosine of theta? Cosine, so ka-toa, adjacent over hypotenuse, so negative 2 rad 10 over 7. Leave it just like that. It's perfectly fine. And then the tangent of theta would be toa, opposite over adjacent, 3 over negative 2 rad 10, and then make sure that we rationalize that. Can't leave that radical in the denominator. So we get, I'll probably move the negative to the top too. Negative 3 rad 10 over 20. And there you go. Okay? So you've done this before in quadrant 1, so now we're opening it up to all of them. All right, let's try, we're going to do 2 more, and then we'll work on that review sheet. All right, letter B. Secant of theta is given to us as 3, and sine of theta is greater than 0. So secant is 3, and sine is positive. All right, what quadrant are we in? 1, exactly. Secant is the reciprocal of cosine. Cosine's positive in 1 and 4, so that narrows it down. But sine's also positive, and the only place that sine and cosine are both positive would be quadrant 1. Very good. So there you go. You draw a triangle. Okay, and here's theta. Wow. Here's theta. And so, good morrow, sir. And then, okay, Oh, that's your word.
Sorry, you did.
All right, so cosine of theta equals, so what's cosine of theta going to be? See, do you like the reciprocal functions? Probably not, right? Yeah, so I like to change that. If I get that secant is 3, cosine is 1 over 3.
Yeah, I remember that.
No. All right, so we know cosine is 1/3, okay? So cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. And then to find, what are we looking for? Tangent? Yeah, so we're just finding cosine and tangent in all these problems. So tangent's going to be opposite over adjacent, so we need that opposite side. So this is going to be 1 squared plus x squared equals 3 squared. So x squared is 8. I keep giving you ones that need to be rationalized, huh? So x would be 2 rad 2. So that would be this side, and it's positive because we're in quadrant 1. Both sides of the triangle will be positive over there. And so the tangent of theta, TOA, would be opposite over adjacent, so that would just be 2 rad 2. I know, aren't these fun? So yeah, right triangle trig, you like a little bit better just because you're used to it. You saw it in geometry. It's not all that brand new. All right, last one. This one's a good one. Here we go. Cotangent of theta is undefined. And secant of theta is less than 0. All right. Anytime we're talking about cotangent or tangent being undefined, we're going to be at one of these angles here, okay? So cotangent is undefined. Now cotangent is x over y. And in order to be undefined, that would mean that y would equal what? 0, okay. So y is equal to 0 at 2 places. I like to go to the unit circle for this. Y equals 0 here, and it equals 0 there. But secant is going to be negative, okay? So that narrows it down. It's not going to be that one. It's got to be this one. Yeah?
What quadrant would that be in?
It's not in a quadrant.
Oh.
Yeah. So these are special. These are different. When we're at 90, pi over 2, pi, 3 pi over 2, and 2 pi, those are different. We treat them differently. Okay. So this will be -1, 0. And you can tell if you needed to find the cotangent of that, that would be -1 over 0, which is undefined. And then we need to find what, cosine? Cosine is the x value. We're on the unit circle. So cosine is -1. And then tangent would be y over x. So 0 over -1, which is 0. So tangent is defined as 0 when cotangent is undefined. Because does 0 have a reciprocal? No, it doesn't. It doesn't. All right.